Good morning, Mr. CEO and CFO. My name is Bo, and I'm a data scientist working for Frito-Lay. Today, I'm presenting an analysis on the attrition and income of the employees at Frito-Lay. First, I want to briefly talk about the data and the goal of this study. There are three data sets: training, competition, and validation. Using the training set that has 870 number of employees, I created a NAIVE-based model to predict the attrition rate. Also, a multilinear regression model to predict the salary. Both the competition and the validation set, which has 300 number of employees of data each, they were utilized to cross-validate the result of the model. First off, for the attrition prediction, I wanted to identify variables that contribute the most to the attrition rate. So I used a recursive partitioning regression, and I was able to identify the variables in the order of importance. The top three factors were overtime, stock option level, and marital status. Using the NAIVE-based model based on those three factors, I was able to come up with an interesting statistics. So the majority of the employees, about 84%, stays with the company. And looking at the top three factors, first off with the marital status, if you're married, you have about the equal chance of leaving or staying with the company. If you're divorced, you're more likely to stay with the company. Whereas if you're single, you're more likely to leave the company. And if you work overtime, it's more likely that you are going to leave the company. And if you have a low level of stock option, it's more likely that you're going to stay with the company. But as the option level increases, the chance of leaving the company or staying with the company becomes about the same. So I wanted to apply this NAIVE-based model to both the validation set and the training set. Both the data set showed fairly similar results in terms of accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity. Both accuracy and sensitivity showed relatively high number. However, specificity showed a very low number, means there is going to be lots of false positives. Ideally, we want lots of false negatives, meaning we expect employees to leave, but they actually don't leave. In order to further explore other models, I did random forest, support vector machine, and linear discriminant analysis. Unfortunately, these three models did not do better in terms of calculating the specificity. So I decided to go with the NAIVE-based model to predict the attrition rate on the competition set. Now I want to pivot our attention to income analysis. First, I took a look at the continuous variables. So several variables were manually selected based on intuitively assumed relationship with income. Looking at the scatter plot, total working years, years at the company, they were the two variables that had the strong relationship with the monthly income. So these two were included in the model. Looking at the categorical variables, I chose education field, department, marital status, job role, and business travel. Out of these five variables, department and job role had the greatest variability with the income. So they were also included in the model. Using those continuous variables and the categorical variables, I came up with a multilinear regression model. The job role had showed the most significance, as you see in the red box. whereas work-life balance and years at the company, they showed a relatively not as significant result. But the model overall was a good estimate, as the R-square value came out to be 87%. And most importantly, the root mean squared error, when I tested the model on the test set, came out to be 65.94, which is less than 100. Looking at the result of the model, the NAIVE-based model, unfortunately the specificity for the attrition rate was low for all models, meaning lots of false positives. The data needs further investigation. The predicting income using multilinear regression was pretty straightforward and worked really well, with the root mean squared error number less than 100. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time today.